It is a great pleasure for me to be able to share some of the lessons that I learned in publishing my paper titled Interstitial Spaces, Micro-Interaction Settings and the Genesis of New Practices Between Institutional Fields in the Academy of Management Review. Thinking back about the first submission of this paper and about the version that eventually got published, the final version, I think I learned three major lessons in working on this paper. The first lesson that I learned concerns really the structure of an AMR article. I initially thought, perhaps naively, that an AMR article needs to have one structure, one best structure, made of the typical propositions and made of a figure with arrows and boxes. What I learned through the review process of this paper was instead that an AMR article does not need necessarily to have propositions in place, to have a figure with arrows and boxes. And so this very much depends on the type of paper that one is trying to develop. In my particular case, the final goal of my paper is to develop indeed a new concept. So through the review process, I made the point to the reviewers and to the editor that I didn't need necessarily to have propositions in place because I was not trying to unpack relationship between already existing concepts, but rather I was trying to develop a new concept altogether. The second lesson that I learned in working on this paper concerns instead the writing process, at least my experience with the writing process. What I learned is the importance of finding my own voice as an author in writing a conceptual paper. The first version of my paper contained many citations in the introduction of the paper and in the literature review and the theory section. And in a way, thinking back about that first version, what I noticed is that my voice, my core argument, the core idea of the paper was somehow getting lost in this forest of citations. So I learned the importance instead to focus my writing on one core argument, on one core idea. And one thing that helped me to do so is to think constantly about the motivation, my motivation for writing this paper. What was my motivation writing this paper, and why? What was my initial source of inspiration writing this paper? That helped me in focusing on the core idea of the paper. The third lesson that I learned finally concerns how to manage the review process. Initially, I was trying to address all the reviewers' comments directly in the paper, again, perhaps naively. What I learned instead is that how to be more selective with the reviewers' issues and how to address some of those reviewers' issues in the response letter. Particularly those issues that are excellent points, but they are, however, too big to be addressed directly in the paper because sometimes they run the risk of sidetracking what is the core idea and the core argument of our paper. So I think one lesson that I learned is how to sort and be selective with the issues that the reviewers raise. I think these are the three lessons that I learned in writing and working on this paper. I know that every paper is different, but I still hope that this lesson could be helpful somehow to you as authors of conceptual papers that plan to submit to the Academy of Management Review. Thank you.